he is always involved in civic type of programs. Like he's always trying to bring people together and bring different kinds of musicians and music
I think
together.
he's like doing 31 concerts, or it's a large number of concerts in a short amount of days.
In small venues, apparently.
Apparently.
Wow.
He's going to be in Lansing that Wednesday, I do believe, and the Thursday he's going to be in Flint.
In Flint. So, and do you know how we get tickets, or who do you get tickets?
I don't. I think it's free.
Wow.
So you just show up.
You just show up.
That's
and it's from between 4 to 6, I think. I believe.
Do you think a lot of Flint folks know what a cellist is?
Yeah, well,
Yo-Yo Ma is very famous.
A certain what word I want? Demographics. A certain demographics
Search
would know.
the internet for Yo-Yo Man.
Yes.
Let's see what Siri thinks about it. Okay, go ahead.
Yes.
Okay.
So we would like everyone to show up. Anyone who's interested. Again,
Nice.
February 28th between 4 and 6.
February 28th, 4 and 6, Burston Fieldhouse.
And there are going to be a lot of different things going on.
And
we're going to be doing juicing that day and talking about our launch, our second attempt to launch the juice therapy
the juicing thing.
And inside bicycling.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, this can't be him. It's talking about Tom Smothers. Tom Smothers is from the 50s, 60s. And it said Yo-Yo Man and Tom Summer.
Oh, Y-O-Y-O-M-O-N, isn't it?
Oh, this is Yo-Yo Man. This is the guy doing yo-yos.
No, I
thought it was
different.
Yo-Yo
Man.
Y-O-Y-O.
And then M-O-N?
M-O-N, I think is, or either M-O-N or M-U-N. I think it might be M.
Yeah, but he should come up any kind of way, though.
If you just type yo-yo, well, though, you get a yo-yo.
You're going to get I got Yo-Yo Man. He's got two yo-yos. He's tearing it up. Well, those of you that are online, I need to apologize. We just started our audio online, and it's my fault. I have to mute it before we go online because of the licensing requirements, and I can't allow any other radio station music to play on the internet.
Oh, okay.
So I mute it before we start, and I forgot to unmute it. So we were probably about 6 minutes in.
And no one was.
There was no audio on the internet.
I'm so sorry.
I am so sorry. But we're back. So nobody heard us talking about ML King on the internet. So we can rehash that.
Okay.
But before we do that, let's go ahead and talk to... Should we talk to her?
Who is she?
I thought she was the cleaning lady. She didn't come with you?
When I got here, she was here.
That's what I'm saying. I thought she was taking care of business.
I'm a burglar.
Well, listen, before we talk to her, let me remind people that you're listening to WFOV 92.1 lpfm-Flint. It's Our Voices Radio, okay? And we're determined to make a difference, but we need you to as well. So give me a call at 810-259-9789. That's 810-259-9789. If you want to get your voice out, man, if you want to be heard, if you've got something going on in the community and they need to know about it, this might be the spot for you. 810-259-9789. I need to remind you also that this is a community service of Flint Odyssey House, and they're always looking for testimonials on people who are in recovery, who have come through recovery. So again, give us a call, 810-259-9789. With that, we're going to introduce...
Wait. What about people in the middle of recovery?
I don't think we want to talk to them.
Oh, okay.
They'd be all green and that. No, I'm just joking. So now let's talk to, how should we describe her?
A local, famous local?
I'm going to say Creative Alliance.
Okay.
And once I say that, there's going to be a large group of people
who
know who I'm about to talk about.
Okay.
If I say Creative Alliance.
Okay.
And if I go on to talk about open mic at the Good Peen every Wednesday, every other Wednesday or once a month, third Wednesday at the Good Bean.
February
20th. A larger group.
The next one is February 20th?
20th?
Yep.
A larger group is going to know who we're talking about.
Okay.
Right? And then, if I talk about her public access television show,
okay,
we've opened the floodgates.
Okay.
Right.
So she is a local celebrity.
She's a local celebrity. And we're gonna welcome to Eclectic Ramblings Mrs. Jenny Munch. I got it right, Jenny, right?
Yep.
Yay!
Say hi, Jenny. Say hi.
Yes.
So, Jenny, tell us about you, so people know a little bit more.
Well, I've been involved with the Flint arts community for years and years, since high school. So even when I wasn't living in Flint, even now I don't live in Flint, I'm in Flint. Whenever I go somewhere, I'm coming to Flint. Right. I videotape a lot of, like I just videotaped the art walk last night. If you go to the Flint Underground YouTube channel, I have videotaped art walks, collab nights, and other events going back years and years. So it's kind of fun to look up old videos if you are interested.
So now, have any of the people that you videotaped gotten stupid famous?
You know what? I'm waiting for that to happen. If it has, I don't know about it yet. But I do videotape a lot of people, and I figure the odds are it will happen. But that would just be fun if it happened, because it's really, I always feel like I'm kind of like entertaining. We're just kind of entertaining ourselves when I take those videos, because it's fun to and then it gives people a chance to promote other things that are going on.
Right. So, Miss Jenny, what are some of the new things, the recent things that you're doing? More recent than last week.
You mean last night?
Was it last night?
We were at the art walk
last night. Yeah, it was last night. Yeah.
Man,
Well, there'll be the collab night open mic at the Good Beans. Will be February 20th. I'll be videotaping that, and so anybody can come and read their new works or play music, or I also have a canvas there and art supplies so people can paint.
Oh, wow.
And it's all videotaped and recorded, so it's good for you if you want to practice something new in front of a crowd that's friendly, but it's also just fun to go and watch. A lot of people just come and sit in the audience and watch. It's
so do you have to
entertaining.
sign up, or you sign up there? Is there?
You sign up there. You just There's always a sign up sheet, and you just sign up. So it's good to get there early if you want to make sure you get in. Lately hasn't been a problem, but there have been times when we had so many people that we didn't have enough room for everybody. So, but it hasn't been a problem lately. But
that's
still,
a good problem to have.
Yeah, it is. It was but it was kind of hectic there for a while. But now it's a nice, manageable speed. We get just probably right amount of people that come.
So you want musicians, poets,
comedians, any kind of performance. We've had dancers. We've had, like I said, musicians, jugglers.
Oh.
We've had quite a variety of very creative people that come up with stuff.
And that's once a month?
Yeah, every third Wednesday at the Good Beans in the Ante Room.
Okay, awesome.
So what else are you doing or have done? Are we talking about my book yet? Is that what you want?
No, we're going to do a
We're
going to do a smoother segue than that.
Okay.
We're going to be totally cool about the book.
I just videotaped.
I tried to.
No, you did. You blew it.
I know it. I'm really bad.
Well, I guess now we'll talk about the book.
Might as well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm excited about it because I just finished. Can I hold it up in case?
Sure.
Okay. It's called Near Future.
Wait a minute.
And it's a.
That's your camera there.
Okay, no, let's show it. Okay.
Yeah, there you go. Uh-huh.
It is a book of short science fiction stories. First time I've ever written short stories before. I've written 3 novels, but I've never written short stories. And there's 5 short stories in here that are depicting a near future in the city. It's where I come in and I talk to different, I show you the viewpoint of different people, how the future looks. But this is not dystopian. This is a book of where we actually do the things.
Wait a minute. Wait. Jimmy, no zombies. There's no zombies.
No.
There's no living dead running around. There's no
Okay, so let me
nuclear
ask you this.
fallout.
So what makes it sci-fi?
because it's near future and it's science fiction, because I'm predicting what we do and how we manage to save the planet. And there's going to be besides going to renewable fuels, of course, that's the number one. We have to do that. But besides that, there's also going to be social changes. I mean, we have to quit being a society that's disposable, where we throw everything away. We're going to have to change our ways of thinking and buy maybe more high-quality products that can be repaired. We're going to have jobs where we are more service-oriented, like maybe a mom-and-pop repair shop. That could be the next thing that goes in here.
In other words, we want to go back a little bit.
Well, in some ways, because being a disposable...
Come on, if you're not going to say it, I'm going to say it.
Say it.
Back to the Future?
There we go. Well, we can't be a disposable. We're running out of resources. We've got to quit doing that. So in that respect, we have to. That's not a step backward. That's a step for the better. Yeah, right. It's a step to the better, because our landfills are full. We've got all this toxic plastic. And
so in other words, you're trying to say, instead of doing plastic bottles, go back to recycling glass.
Yes. The law that we have in Michigan, the deposit laws, that is a great thing. That needs to be all over the country.
Yes.
But also, I think we need to maybe put a tax on new plastics to discourage that, to make recycled plastics more valuable, so that people are reusing instead of creating more problems.
Right.
Because the plastics, the chemicals that leach out of plastics too, mimic hormones, and they're causing a lot of sterility in people as well as the animals. I mean, they're killing the animals in the water, the fish.
Right.
You don't see big frogs and turtles anymore like we used to when I was a kid.
Right.
Because it's killing. It's getting in the waters and it's killing everything. So anyway, we've got to quit that. And one of the things that I promote is critical thinking in the public schools and marketing classes, because we have to understand
agree.
That's definitely. And then the other thing is a citizen scientist program, where we
say it again slower.
Citizen scientists, where again it be started in the public schools, environmental science.
So wait just a second. Isn't that what Darren does somewhat over at the MSU Extension? Are you familiar? Oh, so he goes out and with the kids and doing the in the water and all of that.
Yep, and collect samples. Can you imagine?
Right. So Darren over at the MSU Extension on University in the G-Card building, he does that.
Okay.
So you might want to get in.
I would definitely.
Yes.
Yeah. Because that was the other thing, is that the citizen scientists because that's what I include as part of the future. But that would be to gather samples. So if we regularly work with have a database that we could enter that in, like a national database in my future. That's what happens. And so we can monitor the water and the soil. We can see if there's a polluter, and we can stop that right away.
And you can find out exactly where the person is.
Yes, invasive species. That's the other thing we could look for in the soil and the water. And it could be a thing that the kids learn and get firsthand knowledge. I think there's a lot of kids out there that are actually kind of afraid of the outside. It's such a foreign environment to them.
Right.
They're afraid of bugs and weeds and everything out there.
Isn't that ridiculous? Especially when you have to mingle with the bugs and the bees and the flowers and the trees.
That's where we're from, and we're afraid of it.
And the moon up above.
Yeah, and the kids, man, they're just turning into these. And it's a parent's fault.
Zombies.
It's a parent's fault. You got to get your kids outside. Get outside and play with them if they don't have anything to play with.
Well, you say it's the parents' fault, but
they were raised that way.
Well, not necessarily. Sometimes the parents are not home to monitor because they are in the workforce.
Yes, that is true too.
So that is a way that
don't you leave this house.
Yes, stay in this house.
You
know what? That is exactly true.
Are you saying that possibly we need more?
But that was the same way when I was a kid. We were supposed to come home. We were supposed to stay in the house, do our homework, do our chores, and wait till Mom got home.
But
I would bribe my brother and sister to go out.
The difference is the entertainment, the things that entertain them is no longer outside driven.
This is true.
When we were younger, what entertained us was outside, playing jump rope,
Agreed.
riding bikes, playing jacks outside and
Yep.
Right.
hula hooping.
Yep.
That no longer exists. They're inside
Yep.
on the TV
Mhm.
playing games. So we
Yeah.
have to find ways to get them
Outside.
excited about going outside.
I think we need to maybe approach the gaming industry
Huh?
and start creating some games.
Outside.
Well,
Like
maybe
Pokemon?
some games that interest them in going outside.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You,
That
you
get
said
them-
like the Pokemon thing.
Right, the Pokemon Go got kids all
Yeah.
over the place.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
but they still created zombies because they weren't paying attention.
Getting hit by
to-
cars.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. But the other thing is that the parents were probably raised that way. You know, like a lot now we're getting into like third generations of people that were raised on pretend food, you know, the
Right.
processed awful
Yes,
food that has no
you're right.
food value, and that stayed inside. And there's a paranoia too.
Yes, that's another
In
thing.
fact,
Right.
I think you might get the police called on you if you let your kids walk to school in the morning. Sometimes in some places, because the laws are even such that. You know, you let your kid go outside and unsupervised, then you're a bad parent, and that's kind
Man,
of
do
scary.
you remember when you could walk the streets and your parents
You-
had no
No, come
idea
on, come
where,
on
where
now.
you were?
Don't say that's not the case now. I think it's the case now. It's just that nobody talks about it. You know, we base all of our fears off of what we see on the news. And I don't know where you get your information from.
Because I remember being 5 and 7 years old walking to the store
Yeah.
and getting my candy and
They
things
used
like
to
that.
catch the bus all the way over to the other side of town to school.
But now that you said that, if I saw a child walking down the street alone at 7, I would have questions.
Yep.
Because
I
I've
agree.
been
Yep.
tricked or
That's not normal anymore.
Yeah, that it's not normal. But
But if you were close to a school, you wouldn't think about it, right?
Well, I
I'm
don't know.
not
If you saw a
sure.
kid walking down, I went to Tijuana. Was it Tijuana? Yeah, Tijuana, Mexico. And we're walking down the main drag.
Mhm.
And this child, 3, maybe 4 years old, came up to me and tapped my pocket and heard change in my pocket and proceeded to follow me everywhere we went. So I was intrigued because I'm like, this kid cannot be by himself.
Mhm.
So I keep looking for
the
somebody
person?
that's following
Yeah.
the
The
kid.
child. Uh-huh.
And then I realized, I said, this is
Normal.
everybody's kid.
Right.
Every vendor on the street
Knows
is
that
watching this
child.
kid.
Right.
Right.
Right. And that's the way it should be. But nowadays, people haven't taught that village concept. So if I were to say, hey, don't do that, and they go home and tell their parents I said that, then their parents want to come down and fight me.
Well, that's worst case. That's worst case scenario.
Oh my
and
goodness,
is
are
it
you
worth taking the
kidding me?
risk?
To
Yes.
me it is.
It is.
Well,
it
To
is.
me it is. It's
I was
worth
just
taking
at the
it.
store trying to buy some salt,
Right.
and a kid came in behind me and was telling me to hurry up because
Really?
he was trying to catch the bus.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, dude,
You
you
should
know,
have been here over 5 seconds earlier.
your lack of planning is not my
My fault.
problem at this point in my life.
Right, but I'm
And
finding
of course,
that.
I wouldn't say that. I said, "Oh, brother, go ahead, man. You trying to, I got time."
Mhm.
Right.
So I let him go ahead of me. But as rude as he was about it, I mean, he didn't
But-
say,
but
he didn't say, "Bro, I'm trying to catch the bus. Can I
But
go
can
ahead
I
with
ask
you?"
you this question? Was that an opportunity to be a teacher?
I think I did.
I don't think so. And you know why I don't think so?
Okay.
I feel that he felt that he bullied you into letting him go.
Oh, possibly.
I think you should say, yes, I'll let you go. But next time, all you had to do was ask me, and I would have, and we could have went from there.
I could have
But
added
the
that
way
to our
that you-
conversation.
yes.
Yep, I sure
Yes.
should have. Yep, I
Yes.
agree.
Yeah.
Let me go back. I want to smack him. Is what I want to do.
I know you do. I know.
I just can't believe
Because
the
that's
the audacity
Yes.
of
Yes.
you were trying to blame me for you
your
missing the bus,
bad- yeah.
and then you're trying to buy a cigarette.
Oh, see.
And the guy behind the counter says, "We don't sell cigarettes. We don't sell it." Oh man, you got it, dude. So now he's got time to argue.
But then you have to wait 5 seconds for you to move. Yes.
Manners. We need to teach our kids manners.
I also heard a friend of mine has a funeral home, and he said the people came to the funeral home cutting up. There was drinking and smoking
At the funeral home?
at the funeral home. He had to
Well-
call. Yeah, I'm assuming he called the police, but I don't know.
I'm not saying this is okay or not, but there was a time where people did mourning and they did gather at homes to do that. Now they're not doing that anymore, so maybe that's just the way of them.
I would think if
An
the
Irish
venue
funeral?
changes, I mean, you if the funeral was at the church, you wouldn't be.
Oh,
you wouldn't
come on now.
You
I
wouldn't come
believe
with a 6-pack.
Today, in this era,
Would
I
you?
think they would.
Really?
Neither one of you have been to an Irish funeral.
Uh-oh.
No.
Okay.
Tell us about the Irish funeral.
But
There was lots of drinking and talking and
at the
food.
church?
Oh, well, not I don't know
No.
if it'd be in a church.
Usually
It'd
at
be
the
at-
house.
It's at the house afterward, at the reception,
Well, no.
or before.
Well,
It
usually.
depends on how it's set up, but
Then
like
think New
there's
Orleans.
community centers within the church that allow. I mean, Catholic churches that allow you to drink.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but no.
Well, then think about New Orleans too.
Yeah,
But
again.
and like I said, there was a time in the African American community where they would gather at the house of
Mhm.
the person that mourned or the family, and they would do those types of
Awake.
things. Awake, pretty much, sort of. And then they moved the wake into the
Well, the wakes used to be in the home.
right where
Mm.
people would just come in and out, drop food off,
Mhm.
commune with one another. Remember,
I do see a returning of that because funerals have gotten so crazy expensive that people are forgoing the funerals and just having like a little memorial party.
right?
I'm seeing that in my own family.
I'm
Okay.
planning on having a destination funeral.
Really,
Yeah.
I want to have a dance party.
Nice. Nice.
Maybe you should have them before you die, so you get a chance to hang out and
Just
see
see
everybody.
who
And then
shows up.
have a pre-funeral.
I was gonna do Fiji, but then I thought, I'd be the only one there.
I'm like, who's
they-
gonna follow you?
Nobody,
there?
they're gonna FedEx my ashes and
have to make
ask the
enough money
postman to just drop me
Drop 'em
somewhere.
somewhere.
Destination funeral.
When you're talking about, well, I'm going back to my book, but when you're talking about community, one of the things in here is I have this that I call it the super
I
second book.
saw that.
Okay, this is like the principles that I think are behind what I think that are in the stories.
Okay.
And then number 3 is it's know your neighbor, buy local. If you have a leak in your roof and you don't know how to fix it, and you know that your neighbor is a roofer.
Wait. You went through that so fast because I need you to kind of stay at
Okay.
that. What was the number 3 again?
Okay. And these are there's like 9 of them, and they're throughout the book. But anyway, number 3 is know your neighbor.
Know your neighbors now. I would like to talk about some of those things.
Okay.
Today, do you know who your neighbors are?
You know what? Where I live, no. But here in Flint, when I walk anywhere I go, I always see somebody I know. This is
Okay.
really my
No,
community.
I mean the neighbors, the people on 4 sides of your
Yeah, I
houses.
know
That's,
it.
that's
Do
what
you
we're
know
calling
it?
neighbors.
Do
right?
you
know
know
it.
your neighbors?
No, I
Okay, so let's create a way. What can we do? Because most of us don't know our neighbors.
community.
Not anymore. We used to.
Yeah.
Now we don't know our neighbors. What are some suggestions do you have that we can get to know our
A
neighbors?
block party.
That's it,
Somebody
yeah.
needs
Think
to
so?
host a block
Yeah.
party.
Yeah.
I mean, the
Okay,
whole length of
listen.
Foss Avenue, the whole length of Ruth
Music
Avenue,
and
the whole
food.
length.
Wait, I just don't see people. They'll come to the block party, but they won't leave with knowing one person's a new person's
Oh, I
name.
talk to
Well,
everybody.
if you set the party
Yeah.
up like a party, like a baby shower,
Okay,
you
we
know,
can do
where
that.
you play the little name games.
Yeah.
you eat the pudding out of a
okay, so
diaper.
it's all about how you set up this party.
How you set up the party.
Okay.
Well, your little movie screen across the street there, I think, is a great idea because
Well, yeah,
I
that-
think we could have show a couple of movies and people will be walking around talking, bring some popcorn. That's a great anything like that.
I think it
is
has to
great.
be neighborhood driven.
I do too.
Yeah.
I don't
Block
think we're
by
going to
block
get the South Side
to
to
start.
come
No.
here to
Mm-mm.
to meet
Mm-mm.
their neighbors.
No.
You want to
no.
be in the park nearest to
Each. So
the
that's
community.
a good thing is
Yeah.
to get together in each park area.
Well, think about it. There should be rec centers
Yeah.
in each of the areas of the city.
Well, it's not anymore.
Is there not?
Not functioning, not for the children to go. There's senior centers that are there.
That's fine.
But a lot of the senior centers are saying no children are allowed.
Oh. I'm about tired of kids.
You need to mix the old people and the young people together.
There you go.
I've heard in other countries where
we
they're
should
combining
have-
and daycares.
That would be
it
fabulous.
should be scheduled. You know what I mean? It's just not. I understand. You know, you get to a certain point, you might not want that kind of.
Or you get to that point and you're longing for that.
Right,
Yes.
but that definitely should be an option. I
should
love.
be.
I mean, daycare should be in the basement of every senior home, or a part of every
yes.
senior living facility,
I must
just to
agree.
give them the option.
Because that multi-generational thing is where
Yes.
we learn the most.
Yes.
You talk about getting
yes.
volunteers
Yes.
and that institutional knowledge, like you said.
Right.
Just pass it down.
Right.
But
right.
what if their institutional knowledge is racist?
Wow. That's.
It'll change.
It all
If you
depends
put the
on.
people together, then the racist ideas will change
So
because
that-
they'll become educated.
So in other words, you're saying not only intergenerational but multicultural.
Oh yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
gotta be.
Well, it's got
Yeah,
to be
yeah.
multicultural,
Well,
but
we're all
again,
gonna
you're
be
still going to
multicultural.
get that Confederate old guy.
Yeah,
But
but
what
they're
if he
gonna be
find-
dead pretty soon, so we don't have much longer
So we
to
just
deal
wait
with
10
them.
more
yeah.
years.
No, but really, we're all becoming. That's part of the thing that's driving the MAGA people. If you look, the only thing they have in common is they're afraid of the browning of America. Basically, we're all becoming mixed, and I think that's a great thing. I mean, I mean, whenever we're mixing, there may not be as many blue-eyed people in 50 years, but their
You'll be surprised
their
of the dark-
genes will be combined with the
There
other
are
people.
a lot of dark people with blue eyes.
Yeah, but I mean, but it doesn't matter. It's like the best gene. Brown eyes is superior to blue eyes, and I know that for personal experience. You know, you put us out on a bright day and see who's sneezing and watering eyes and stuff. So the best genes will take, and so we're going to have like this race of people that have all the best genes of all the different races and people, or like a nation of superheroes. That's what I say. That's what I say.
I
Bring
like
it.
that.
I think bring
Okay,
it.
go ahead. The next one.
Okay, well, it said know your neighbor, and then under that it's buy local.
Buy local. What do you mean by buying local?
Well, you know, rather than big corporations. I mean, and the one thing that's getting tough is that people are buying things online. But you could still sell. A local person could still sell things online, so that you could continue to buy your groceries that way. Because I know that seems to be the trend. But what I mean is, I said, okay, here. Let me finish. If you have a leak in your roof and you don't know how to fix it, and you know that your neighbor is a roofer, why not give him the money instead of a stranger, especially if the stranger is not a person but rather a corporation?
I can think of a whole bunch of reasons. I got to live next to him. What if he's not good?
Not really.
What if he does a bad
Well,
job?
let
Now
me-
I've
let
got.
Okay, but what
let me
if
go
the
on.
corporation would have done a
Yeah,
bad job?
yeah.
I'm
well,
going
what
to
if-
fight them across town.
Well, yeah, but you know what? That corporation, you're probably not going to get nearly as far as you would with your neighbor. If you know that he's a bad roofer, then you just won't use him again.
Right.
But you don't know who's going to come out to your house next time when you call that.
There
I
you
mean,
go.
you can still do the same thing. If just because it's your neighbor doesn't mean you don't have to get references. That you don't have to
Well,
check
you could,
their
well,
work
if
before you
we're
hire them.
talking
You just,
about a lot of money and stuff, yeah.
well, a roof is a lot of money.
Well, I mean, if you just had a leak in your, if I was your,
Oh, okay, yeah.
a
You're
small
talking about
one,
a
yeah.
$20 thing.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, now, well, the next one, though, number 4, because it kind of goes together, is be a community. If your roofer is your neighbor and your neighbor is your friend, maybe you will learn to help one another without a formal currency. By helping one another, we can save the world.
So, in other words, like we were talking about last week, a barter system.
Yes, barter. Oh, barter's great. I
Yes.
belong to organized barter, but
Do
also
you
regular,
really?
but also just straight barter. I mean, I've got, you know, it's just, you know, I sell advertising is what I do, you know, for my main source of income, and you know, there are a lot of times where I've got people that I barter with. I give them advertising in exchange. Well, okay, I'll tell you. There's a guy that has these boat rides, and I love it, and I love to go out on the river with him. So I will give him advertising, and in return he gives me these boat rides, which are great.
Right.
There's a balloon company. I go on a balloon ride about every 2 years
Yes.
because what I do is I advertise, you know, give them that much advertising,
Okay.
and then I can take 3 more people with me
Awesome.
on the balloon ride. So I get a lot of opportunities like that.
So let me ask you this question. Are you willing to go and talk about ways? Because people think about bartering, and they don't think as large as you just thought about it.
They also think it's illegal, which
Yeah,
is
because
crazy.
I've heard that.
They
We've
think it's
heard that.
illegal. It's
Right.
not illegal. It's not illegal. And even if you have a business, like I have a business, I have a cash account and I have a barter account. So if so whether it's formal barter or informal bartering. I use that barter account like a cash account. Whenever I sell advertising to someone I want to barter with, and I add the cash to the barter account, and when I use it, I take it out. My accountant works on formal barter.
So why is it that people think it's illegal?
Because, I'm sure companies and people want you to think it is, because they don't want you to. They want you to use money. And it's different. It requires a little bit of interaction. I mean, you'd have to know your neighbors to know he's a roofer, or that he's got a balloon business, or that he's whatever he's doing in order to barter with him. You're going to have to know.
And that's something that I think will help the community.
Oh, yeah.
Tremendously.
Yeah.
Is to do that bartering thing.
Bartering,
but again, so many people shy away from it.
Yeah. I know. I understand.
Yeah.
But I think it's great. It's the oldest form.
Right.
So let me ask you this. You got a book. It's called Near Future. And you're not putting a date to it yet. When you say near future, are we talking 10, 20, 100
I'm saying
years?
at least 50 years. I'd say probably about 50 years is what I'm
So your book takes place 50 years from now.
About, yeah.
And it is the culmination of our actions between now and 50 years that they are living with.
Right.
And we have, I'm guessing, we've done the right thing.
Yeah, we saved the planet.
We saved the planet.
We saved the planet.
So the stuff we did from now for 50 years changes society.
Right, and in each chapter there's 5 stories, and I try to expand in a different area. Like the very first one is called Transporter, and it's about the electric self-driving cars that the cars, what the cars will evolve into, and then in renewable energies, and that will be that's a big focus in that story. The second one is about virtual reality. The third one's about about a scientist, and this one DNA and how we're messing with DNA. This one is about a scientist who finds a message in DNA, in a piece of DNA. So that's what because each story has there's this little story going on. Okay. So it's entertaining. It's not just something that I'm,
Awesome.
Yeah, it's a story.
So how did you come up with these ideas?
I read a lot. I read a lot, and I always have, and I'm pretty good at noticing trends.
Okay.
So I just kind of looked at the trends and then kind of predict what's going to happen with them.
Okay.
And then I write a story around that.
So how long have you been creating through literature?
Oh, God, my first book I wrote like so long ago, I don't remember how long it was.
15 years, 4 months, 3 days, and 6 hours ago.
It was? Is that what it was?
I think I wrote it down.
But I've written 3 novels that like regular novels, and they were kind of like science fiction, kind of horror kind of books. Okay. So then this is my first truly science fiction short story.
Awesome.
So I've always written, I've always painted. I'm a creative person. My medium is whatever is in my hands, is what I say. So the videos have become.
So how do you promote? How are you promoting your book?
Oh, well, I am going to have a book show. I'm going to be involved in the book show, the April Ghouls Day at the Flint Farmers Market on April 6th from 10 to 2:30 at the Flint Farmers Market. There's going to be a book show, and I'm going to have my book there. Okay. And then also at the Totem bookstore on May 11th from 3 to 5, I'm going to be there with Jeff Carey, who also has a new book out. And we're going to have a book signing at the Totem.
Oh, are you going to do a read at the...
Yeah, at the Totem, I know we'll be doing readings. I'm not sure. We're still putting that together, but I know I'm sure we'll be doing readings from the book. And for the last year, more than a year, I've been reading parts of my book as I write them at the open mics too.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
And there's also an open mic at Buckham. Every first Friday at Buckham there's one. And then, of course, at the Golden Leaf, there's always a Wednesday night open mic. Yeah. But that's, I've never seen anybody read there. They usually just music. Yeah, music. So, but anyway, those are all places that I hang.
Awesome. Now, is there anything you want our listeners to know?
Actually, where is it available?
Oh, it's available right now. You can get it at lulu.com. Another thing that I've done is I created these audio video books. And if you go to, if you go to my Warrior Publications site, you can get the links really easy. Warrior Publications Facebook page, and then they'll have the links on there. But each one of the stories, 4 out of the 5 stories anyway, I've created these audio video books where it's just me reading the book. But in the background, I have videos that I've taken. The first one is walking through the trails in Fenton. And then I've got the last one I just finished is a balloon ride. So you get the video of the balloon ride in the background as I'm reading the story. So I call them audio video books. Something I just kind of made up. But anyway, so you could just listen to them. But it's me reading, so it's not like, it's...
Is it a dramatic reading? Are we doing voices?
I'm just trying to like read intelligently and pronounce all the words correctly, and I do that most of the time. But don't like tell me about all my mistakes because it's just gonna irritate me. Yeah.
Samuel
it's
Jackson.
Not gonna help the video any better because I'm not going back there and changing them things.
Morgan Freeman, your job is safe. Is that what you're saying? Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
But anyway, they're free, so you can actually listen to the book.
Awesome.
Well, great. Listen, let me jump in here and remind people that they're listening to WFOV, 92.1 lpfm-Flint. It's Our Voices Radio. We're a community service of Flint Odyssey House, and we're always looking for programming. So if you've got a message you need to get out to the community, if your organization, church, club, group needs a soapbox, we want to be that soapbox for you. 810-259-978. What? I'm about to get out the wrong number.
Okay, the number is 810.
Okay.
259-9787.
No.
No.
See, you're worse than me. See, I was only going to mess up. You really messed up.
Okay, what's the number?
259.
9789.
259-9789. You guys all repeat that back to me right now. Ready?
Okay.
In unison. 810 239
259.
Thank you. I'm about to give out Spectacles number and get in trouble. 259 9789. There we go.
All right.
There we go. I've completed my obligation. So I'm thinking about Jenny.
Okay.
And I'm thinking about her near future.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about what we got to start doing today to make it there.
Yes.
And guess what the first thing that comes to mind?
What is that? Go knock on your neighbor's door and say, hey,
No.
I brought you a pie?
No. First thing that came to mind was EXO.
Yes.
Imagine if we implement EXO tomorrow.
Okay.
All the schools.
Yes.
And not make it voluntary. But each year, a child has to compete in no less than 2 categories.
Whoa,
Freshman year.
Oh, you mean
sophomore year, junior year. I think, this starts at freshman year.
Freshman all the way to senior.
Right. So at least 2 categories. And I don't know if we want to do it per semester, a category per semester.
Oh, and I like that because there are categories that people aren't even thinking about.
Yeah,
right.
They make it stretch.
And make it so almost like in the Boy Scouts, you have to do so many categories to graduate. You know what I mean? You have to have so many merit badges to be an Eagle Scout.
Yeah.
So let's say you have to have so many competitions. You gotta have 20. You gotta have 24 competitions on your report card to graduate.
That's great. And then you have them in different categories too.
Read some of the categories for me.
Some of the categories is architecture, biology and microbiology, chemistry and biochemistry, computer science, earth and space sciences, engineering, mathematics, medicine and health, physics. And I started with those because we generally get people from the humanities.
Those disciplines,
Yes. So those are something I think people should really think about. And the other ones are the entrepreneurship and the culinary arts.
I like what Jenny said about marketing.
Yes.
I think marketing has to be in there. And financial cuteness, just financial knowledge. Know how to run a checkbook. Know what interest is. Know that 23%
Right.
is not good.
Right. Right.
And the ramifications
Right.
of a 23%
Right.
credit card.
Right.
You know,
But see,
I had home economics
but
in school. Did
listen,
you guys have home ec?
if we were doing more bartering, we wouldn't need all of that.
Well, true. We got to get to the barter, though, right?
Yes.
And
And
we can train them the barter
we can
and the
start-
entrepreneurial.
We can start with bartering right now.
Well, I think the barter industry exists.
Yeah,
It
business.
exists.
Yeah, like there's formal like there's one organization, one of the bargaining formal organizations I belong to doesn't charge per month or anything. They just charge you a percentage when you spend the money.
Well, see, that's the thing I'm not too down with. I don't want a organization to act as the middleman
Well,
between me and the barter. That just
there-
seems unclean.
It makes it larger though, because like I've taken trips with my barter dollars. Now it would be hard for you to organize with a travel agency maybe to do that yourself, but if you belong to a larger organization, then you would be able to have access to.
Well, I
that.
didn't say there weren't benefits.
So,
Yeah.
so
But my
how do you-
neighbor is a travel agent.
Yeah,
You see what I
yeah.
mean?
See,
So
there we
why
go.
do I
That
have
would-
to go to
Yeah,
Gene?
yeah. See,
Why do I have
if
to
they'll
go to
barter
you
with
to
you,
go?
then that'd be great. But also to the organized bartering, they have more of a paper trail, in that you get a statement every month,
Exactly.
and so the government likes that, more.
So half
the
of why we're bartering.
government does recognize barter
Oh, yes,
and
yes.
accepts it
Yes.
as a form
Yes,
of
yes.
tender.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
And like I said,
But I thought that was
most
half
people
of the.
saying,
I thought that was half the reason of bartering. It was to get out of the system and
Now
to get
you're-
out of the cog. To not be a cog in the wheel, but to be an independent economy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Outside of, because again, taxation is based on.
Well, there are people that I've met that were in organized barter, and then we became friends and doing business together, and then it got to be a less formal form of barter. You
So
know,
it's kind of like
it's
kind of like a funnel. You meet them at the organization.
Well, yeah, but also too, it works for national things. Like you might get somebody from some other state that wants to advertise. I don't know if you saw advertising on your radio station.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Well,
they
it's not
might like
advertising. Sponsorship. on the radio.
sponsorship. Yeah, they might want to sponsor something. I mean, they would find you through the barter organization, maybe if you all both belonged.
But,
How
does,
do you-
but
how
does
do you-
consumers take barter? I gotta pay the consumer's bill.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That's why a lot of people say they won't do it. It's because it's a different way of thinking. You're so used to this cash-based society, and I've had people say, "Well, I'm not going to sell my thing on barter because they won't pay. I can't pay my electric bill that way." But there's other stuff you can pay that way, and you've just got to
frees
look.
up the
you've
frees
gotta
up the
look-
money. You
yeah,
don't have to buy the
look-
$200 plane
Right,
ticket, so now
right.
you can spend
So
that
listen,
$200 on
I'm
consumers.
very, very interested in this because I think it's something that people will benefit from.
Yeah.
How do I get more information so that I can spread more of the word, or should I join a barter community, or?
Well, it depends. I guess you should just investigate to see what your best. Well, you with the radio station selling advertising. Selling advertising, I think, is a
involved with
great
what?
way. Is a great industry to be in barter because you don't have a physical product. If you've got a physical product that you have to pay for and then resell, then now it's a little less viable because you've got to pay cash for the product.
But the barter can be a percentage off of the
could be
price.
that too.
Right.
My cost on this is $10.
Yeah.
You give me $10 cash and $10 barter,
Yep.
Right.
and you can have it.
Yeah, see, you've got the right kind of thinking and the right kind of mind, but you've got to be flexible like that. A lot of people aren't that creative in their thinking.
So how do we wake that up in people?
I don't, but I notice that in bad economic times, the bartering business goes up, and like right now, because our economy is so good, it's going down. I've noticed that there's not as many people
Well,
bartering.
when we lived in Massachusetts, my mom used to co-op. You guys ever heard of co-op?
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So it was a group of folks, and they would buy a 100-pound bag of potatoes.
Right.
Uh-huh.
And a 100-pound bag of carrots.
Yeah.
And she had me in the basement, in the garage,
Separating. Mhm.
separating them into
Mhm.
everybody's
Mhm.
bags.
Yeah.
So I think if we could start those kind of things
Yes, that's
after
good.
we meet our neighbors,
Right.
right? Because
Right.
you the power of 4 households
Right. Right.
buying Crest
Right.
is a lot more powerful than 1 household.
Yes.
Right.
So now we go, and as a 4 group, we go and buy the case of toilet paper.
Right.
and split.
ration it out.
Right,
Yeah.
or do a big Sam
Yeah.
shop. You know what I
Right.
mean?
And,
Now,
and that is the same. It's equivalent to the CSAs, the community agriculture groups.
right?
And I was a part of that before, and I really appreciated that. But
Mhm.
I think that if we had more people doing that, that would have the price would have been so
Affordable.
a little bit more affordable.
So you were still paying retail or a little better,
But you still.
but it was getting delivered, right?
It was somewhere. I still had to go and pick it up.
Oh, you had to go get it too. Okay. All right. Well, there's got to be a formula.
Yeah.
There's got to be a formula that works. And we talk about being in food deserts. You know what I mean? Well, let's go get some food.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
We don't have.
Right.
We
right.
might live in the desert, but we don't have to stay in the desert.
Right. Or it doesn't have to stay a desert.
It doesn't have to stay in
per
the desert.
se.
Right.
Right.
It doesn't.
There's ways.
And
we
you know
can-
the folks that are doing the gardens
Yeah.
are doing some phenomenal
Yes.
things. I know
Yes.
Aaron at the local grocer,
Yes.
Shannon,
Yep.
and a bunch of folks
Yes.
have made a network of small farms,
Right.
and they are pooling their resources. They're
Yes.
getting 3 heads of cabbage from her,
Yeah.
Right.
4 heads of cabbage from
Right.
them to make up the 400 cabbages that Kroger wants.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
That is brilliant.
That is great. You know, one thing though about the urban gardening thing is that I've noticed, and it's great. I really like it, but a lot of people do not know how to cook from scratch. You give them a bag of vegetables, and they might end up
Well-
spoiling because they don't know what to do with them.
Well,
So
that's
your
why we eat
culinary,
raw.
your culinary thing is great.
Well, that's what MSU Extension does.
Yes.
They have
Yeah.
that program
Mhm.
that I used to work for that goes out and teaches you how to cook.
Cook.
And they
Yes.
do it in your, well, they used to do it in the home. I don't know if they still doing it in the home.
Well, what kind of cooking are you talking about?
From scratch. Teaching
German
you how,
cooking, Italian cooking,
healthy cooking.
German cooking, Italian cooking,
Healthy cooking.
Chinese
It could
cooking.
be all of that. Whatever. Sometimes they say, well,
So isn't healthy cooking not cooking? I mean, aren't you supposed to eat the vegetables raw?
Or as close as you can to raw, I think.
El
Right.
dente or whatever?
Yeah,
El
as long-
dente.
yeah, because you
Still should be
sterilize it when you
crisp.
cook it too much.
With a crack, yeah.
it still should be crisp.
You know, I was eating asparagus last night raw. It was delicious.
Yes, and that's the thing. Most people haven't experienced food in the raw.
Yeah, I was surprised. I was walking with someone, a friend of mine, and there was an apple tree, and I picked an apple
And you
down
just
and I
ate
ate
it.
it.
And she
and
said,
he was
"You're
like,
not gonna wash that."
well, no, he was like, I've never done this before. And he
Oh
picked
my
an
God.
apple and ate it, and I thought, well, that is really telling to me
Isn't
because
it?
there's a
And you will be surprised if you go into the school and ask a child where does milk come from. The supermarket is their answer.
Oh, and this is another thing I've noticed is that people no longer seem to make a connection between a fast food hamburger and a dead cow. They have having meat and cooking it they just
Yeah.
don't seem to
Because
make a
it's not
connection.
meat. There's no cow
Yeah.
in that burger.
It's just eating coli
It's just a
patty.
whole
They
bunch of crap.
They just run it by the barn and say that there's meat.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
seen by a cow. Well, that's wonderful. Yeah, I think if we incorporate some of those things in our school system, I don't know what it
But
is. Is it a referendum? How do you?
But at one point, those things were in the school system.
Right, but how do we get this on curriculum? How do you get something like AXO to be part and parcel of the school experience?
I don't think that's going to happen because they are so concentrated on these meat, whatever those
Yeah,
testing.
right.
Eating tests.
Yes. So that's not going to happen. But you can create an after-school program
Right.
that
But see,
could
I
do
want it
that.
mandatory. I want it mandatory. I want every child to have to do it. After school
But see,
program isn't.
that's so. It doesn't have to be mandatory for them to learn it. You understand what I'm saying? Because
I mean, you can make it attractive and make them really, not wanting to do it would be silly. If you make it that attractive, you know what I mean?
Again, mandating a lot of times forces people away,
Yeah, that's true.
and they
But
don't.
it
They're
also
not.
forces people in.
But if you gingerally
Forces.
say, what you're doing will help you survive in life.
Well, I mean, that argument wouldn't be to the child. It'd have to be to the parent.
It would have to be to
the ninth grader isn't.
No. If
Thinking
the
that way.
parent is, if we can get the parent on board, because some of this stuff parents don't even
And
know.
that's what I was gonna say, we're in the
we're
third
thinking wrong.
generation.
Yeah,
Maybe-
most of the stuff parents don't
Yeah,
even
we're in
know.
the third
Maybe-
So we
generation
need to
of
start
fast
with
food.
parenting.
Maybe we're thinking wrong.
Yeah.
Maybe we shouldn't put it in the high schools. Maybe we should put it in the elementary school.
Yeah.
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 So that it naturally
Become
grows
something that yes,
into.
yes,
We got
Yes.
more control over the
Yes.
children
Yes.
at that age.
yes,
Uh-huh.
yes.
And the after school programs are probably more full.
And you remember when I was telling you about how I feel that students should not be in school for 8 hours,
And they shouldn't start at 7:30.
and they shouldn't start. I think that should be part of what once they've learned that in elementary schools.
Uh-huh.
Now they are mandated to go back to the elementary school and teach the next set of children.
I like that.
So as they grow and learn, they go back and that's.
Well, I think
part
I've heard of
their-
those tutoring programs
Yes.
where the 7th graders tutor the 6th graders and
Right.
the 8th graders tutor
Right.
the 7th graders
Right.
and so
I
on
think
and so
that would
forth.
be a great
Mhm.
way of doing
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Donna, our
that'd be
time is up.
true.
No.
It is up,
Says
Donna.
not
It is
so.
up. It is up. We're probably 30 seconds, or going to be 30 seconds over by the time it's all said and done. So why don't you look at one of these cameras? Which one is it? I think it's that one.
Hey,
And say goodbye.
I would like to say thank you for tuning in and goodbye.
Goodbye. Hey guys, thanks for watching and listening to Eclectic Ramblings right here on WFOV 92.1 lpfm-Flint. It's Our Voices Radio. Feel free. You can do what we do. Maybe even better than we do it. You think? Possibly. Yeah, nobody can do it better than you, girl. Right here on WFOV 92.1 lpfm-Flint, 810-259-9789. And Mom, all the good I do is because of you. Goodbye, everybody.
I'm gonna clap. I started to clap. Are we all done then? Should I put this on here? You didn't tell me the name of the show I was going on. You just said be here 12:30. That's okay.
I like when people do that. Just come on to the radio station. Just come on. Be on.
I got no audio.
Oh,
I'm
but
not
if you're
seeing that.
interested
Oh,
in
that's 'cause I
business
turned
trade
it down.
exchange, I don't know if they, I don't know if they charge you to become a member or not. I've been a member for so many years, I don't remember. But I know that it's